Algebra is one of the very first advanced forms of math learned in school, usually learned after you finish learning addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division, along with having mostly if not fully learned fractions and exponents. I'm basically going to be breaking this concept down as best as I can so that you all who are struggling with it can get the basics down. This is algebra, explained by a noob. Now before we get started, you should probably get familiar with what different parts of an algebraic equation are called. First of all, terms are just each of the different numbers or variables in an equation. Variables are the letter or letters in an equation that represent an unknown number or numbers depending on how many different letters are in an equation. In this case and most other cases, the variable is the letter x, but it can also be y, z, a, b, or basically any letter as long as it represents an unknown number. Coefficients are numbers next to a variable that are basically the number that the variable is being multiplied by. For example, with the term 2x, which is just another way of saying 2 times x, 2 is a coefficient because x is being multiplied by 2. Finally, constants are just the numbers in the expression that aren't connected to a variable like a coefficient or variable themselves. In this case, the constants are 3 and -1. Now we've got all that cleared up, let's move on to the concept of algebra in a nutshell. You guys know those worksheets you got in elementary school where it was like 1 plus 2 equals question mark, or they just left a blank line for you to fill in the answer? Algebra is basically those worksheets, but instead of a question mark or an empty underline, it's a variable, in this case x. Now you might be thinking, well that's easy to solve, Charlie, I'll just replace the x with a 3 because everybody knows 1 plus 2 equals 3. No, that is the wrong way to solve it. What you actually need to do is solve the addition on this side of the equation without replacing x with the answer. So 1 plus 2 is 3, so just replace 1 plus 2 with 3 and you're left with 3 equals x. This is how you solve an algebra equation. You need an expression that clearly states what number x is equal to. Now, to verify that this is the correct answer, we need to check our answer by plugging x into the original equation. You'll see what I mean in a second. So you have the original equation, and you have your solved equation, x equals 3, right? So, since x is equal to 3, what you need to do now is replace x with 3 in the original equation. So, replacing x with 3, you got the equation 1 plus 2 equals 3, and no you're not done yet, don't put your freaking pencil down. And finally, you solve the equation 1 plus 2 to get 3 equals 3. This is obviously a true statement. I mean, who can argue that 3 doesn't equal 3? So congratulations, you solved your first algebra equation. Now that you've solved the most basic kind of algebraic equation, there's another type that isn't as straightforward to solve, the kind where the variable is on the same side as a constant. Take this equation for example. 3 plus x equals 7. Well, that's easy too, Charlie. You just replace x with 4 because 3 plus 4 equals 7. Yeah, no, you're wrong again. Just shut up and let me explain. To solve this equation, you need to apply what are called the properties of equality. The properties of equality are the rules that say if a number is added to, subtracted from, multiplied by, or divided to a variable, you can cancel that operation out while still keeping the equation the same by applying the opposite operation to both sides of the equation. So, going back to our equation, since 3 is being added to x, we'll need to subtract 3 from both sides of the equation. The positive 3 and the negative 3 cancel out, isolating x on the left side, and we're left with x equals 4. Now there's one more type of equation that I want to cover in this video, and that's an algebraic equation where the variable is on both sides. For example, this equation, 2x plus 3 equals 4x minus 6, can be solved by using the properties of equality to put all the variables on one side and the constants on the other. So, we subtract 3 from both sides of the equation to cancel out the plus 3 and get 2x equals 4x minus 9, and then we subtract 4x from both sides to put all the variables on the left side. Next, we divide both sides by 2 and we're then left with negative x equals negative 4.5. Well, this obviously isn't right. We want to know what x equals, not negative x. Well, thankfully there's an easy solution. All you have to do is multiply the whole equation by -1, or more simply, you just replace all negative signs with positive ones, and all positive signs with negative ones. And by the way, I just wanted to clarify that you're not doing anything wrong if this happens to you. It basically just happens if you put the variables and constants on the wrong side. As I just demonstrated, it only takes like 5 seconds to fix, so put your variables on whichever side you wish. Anyways, after doing this, we are finally left with x equals 4.5. Now before we end the video, I just wanted to cover a mistake that might be made when using the properties of equality. So, here we have the equation x plus 2 equals 2x minus 5. Now, when using a property of equality and subtracting 2 from both sides of the equation, you might think that you need to subtract 2 from all the terms on the other side. When it comes to addition and subtraction, this is not correct because you're subtracting 2 from one side and 4 from another, and so the equation wouldn't be the same. For multiplication and division, I'm pretty sure you would have to multiply or divide all the terms, but if you cancel out addition and subtraction before you do multiplication and division, it should basically be the same for all 4 operations. What you actually need to do is just subtract 2 once from the left side and once from the right side, and your equation will still be equal. That's basically it for this video. Please like and subscribe if you want to see more videos. I basically post a bit of everything, but I will definitely do more of the series if this video does well. If you have any questions, if there's anything I missed, or if you have another idea for the series, then let me know in the comments. Have a nice day and good luck with your algebra class.